What's up, legends? I hope you're having an amazing day. I've got a bit of an early update for you guys today. I'm coming on here a bit earlier than usual, but it's because I can see something going on and I want to tell you guys about it. But before I get into that, I'm going to take a step backwards, as I like to do, because I like to go over what I talked about in the previous video to show you where we've come so far, whether or not that played out before we move forward, because unless we look back and understand what is going on, we can't really anticipate what should happen next. So if you're new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Big shout out to the TTC tribe. Yesterday we had CPI, which was a news event we were watching for to see if Bitcoin could break its high of the day. And today we have PPI, so another news event to be aware of. Let's have a look at what CPI did to price action. So I'm on the 5-minute time frame because I just want to show you what actually happened. And when I zoom in on this particular candle right here, this was as the CPI news was released. What I had talked about on yesterday's video was Bitcoin needed to break two levels. It was the initial high of the day, which it was breaking as I was filming the video, and if it could break that, it then needed to break the high of the day next, which was at around 30,820. We can see here that it made one attempt, failed and pulled away, came back for another attempt on that news event right there, but you never react on the news event. You wait for the follow through afterwards, because we can see here that after it attempted to break it, it just fell back down underneath it. Now there were high level shorts in trading light around the 31k level that could have caused this smack back down. And the thing is, let's check now. Yeah, they're still there. We're going to talk about why they're still there in a moment, but let's continue with this. So following that, we created a lower high, which creates the M formation. Now there's a couple of things I want to point out with this, because this right here could be the M formation as well, because this broke the 50 EMA with volume. So if it is, that actually changes the count. So I just want to make you aware of that, because at this point in time, I'm not really 100% sure. This M follows the rules of breaking the 50 EMA with volume. This one here doesn't. So it could be that this is an M formation and this is the retest before drop level 2. So this would be 1 right here. This would be 2 and this would be 3. It's very, very possible. Or it could be the way that I originally had it, like this, where we've only had 2 drops so far and we're in consolidation right now. Sometimes when you have confusion like that about the levels, you can just zoom out to have a look where the vector is. And if this here is actually going to turn out to be level 3, it should have stopped at a vector candle. So if we look left on that, yeah, it did. It stopped within this zone right here. And then finally, we want to see if this was a high volume spike to stop the volume to the downside, and it wasn't. It was actually less than the previous volume to the downside. It's a tricky one as to whether or not this is level 2 or level 3. Sometimes, you know, it just can be tricky. So finally, because of that, now I'm going to move to the key levels of the day and the liquidation levels. This is how I'm going to set my conditions for what I think may or may not happen next. Number 1, if this was to be 3 level drops and this was a W, we have not broken the 50 EMA with volume. So therefore, it's not really a trend reversal. And if it's not a trend reversal yet, then that does mean that we've only had 2 drops so far. And also, in addition to that, after US made this move, we went into the Asia session. And the Asia session's job is to just consolidate between around about maximum 2% range. We've got much less than that at 0.5. So Asia's done its job correctly. At around 2 a.m. we expect an extension, which gives us the heads up as to what UK might do. So around here is the 2 a.m., which is 2 a.m. New York, by the way. So we've extended to the upside on that. We're currently holding at the 200 EMA and we have not broken the high of the day. We do also have a liquidation level just a little bit above at 30,483. There's obviously a lot of liquidation levels here, but I only mark out the high level significant ones. If they did spike up for that one, it would just be be a recovery of this vector candle right here. And if the candles looked weak around there, that's when you think you're going to get drop level 3. So what typically happens when Asia has an extension to the upside and you're in the midst of your drop levels is UK will create the lower high, and then you'll have your continuation to the downside. So it might look like an M formation. This is really, really dependent though on number one, does it break the high of the day? It can spike into this liquidation level, but you don't want it closing above if you're expecting further downside. So if it can get through the 200 EMA, you're looking for the initial high of the day at 30,444 next, and you're looking for weakness at those two levels. If that were to happen, then you would expect that level 3 would come down into these orders down here, which is sitting at around 30,000, and then there's also others at 29,800, and that is going to bring us back close to the 4-hour support level. So if I show you that on the 4-hour time frame, that's here. So the 4-hour support is at 29,890. So it's in between those two high level long orders that we've got going on right now. Speaking of higher time frames, the 1 hour kind of tells the story of what's going on. If we zoom out on the 1 hour, you can see we're still in this consolidation period from the 33 trade, which we know it takes a long time to consolidate. And what's happening at the end of this consolidation so far is looking like a bit of a symmetrical triangle, which could be a trick, because when we take into account where those trading light orders are currently, we've got shorts here, which would be a breakout of the triangle. So break out of the triangle, hit these shorts, potentially reject. That's at 31,000. We got the same deal below price between 29,800 to 30,000, where if we broke down out of the triangle, we could spike into these as a false move and then move up. The very fact that we've got PPI tonight also lines up with the idea that we may have one of those false moves trigger those orders and a fake breakout of this triangle to induce retail into positions. But which way? We don't have enough structure to know which way they're going to break out yet. That is why I'm interested in this 30,483 liquidation level, because if they come up and just take that, then start to look weak, I'm going to expect that they're going to break to the downside. So that liquidation level there is going to tell me the story at this point in time. If they break above it and retest it, then it's possible we're going to go to the upside first. Now look, in an ideal world, I actually want them to go to the downside, because if they go to the downside as a false move, especially around the news event, then that might be all the damage they want to do, and we might actually end up with our continuation to the upside there. But if they go up first, then it's going to be pretty worrisome, because it's going to be at this point in time, they can't break 31,000, and maybe this run to the upside is over. So we've had many attempts right now, so I'm still hopeful that we're going to get a breakout, but it's almost, this is decision time. If we can't get through that area, and especially into this heat map, this high level 1 month heat map liquidation zone, it sits between 31,600 and 31,700. We have to get through that if we're going to have continuation to the upside. It is so key, and currently we're squeezing, and we have not been able to return to this vector candle right here yet on the 1 hour time frame. So we could be squeezing because we're building momentum to eventually break out, or we could be squeezing because we've run out of steam and we're going down. My advice is not to try and trade the breakout of this triangle. They are always a trap, especially if we get closer to the news event and it hasn't broken out yet. Just leave it alone, wait for a couple of hours after the news event, and you'll see a setup then to trade. But in an ideal world, you want to be taking the short just under the 31K, providing those orders stay there and price does push up to there, gives us another rejection, then you'd be more confident we're going down. That's going to be a much bigger play. Or price breaks down into these two buy orders, same deal, looks rather bullish once it hits one of those levels, and you take a long position out. Trading within this pointy end of a triangle it's going to get really difficult now. So just be aware of that. If you are looking for somewhere to trade this stuff, be sure to check out OKX. We've got a new deal for you guys. If you use the link in the description of this video, you can get access to a lucky draw. Let me show you how this works. So once you click on the link that is in the description of this video, you will be brought to this page. Just click on that Enroll Now button that you see and then follow the instructions to set up a new account. Once you've done that, scroll down on this page and you will see the option here to have a spin. You can use just the one spin by clicking on the button on the left, and then that will give you a prize, or you can click on the 5 spins on the right and that will spin 5 times to give you a reward as well. And the more you trade, the more spins you get. So be sure to use that link if you're looking for an exchange to trade on and give yourself access to many free rewards. Now, when I have a look at Ethereum, this is the one. This is the liquidation level I was waiting for it to break, which it just has at 1873. And the next one is to break the initial high of the day at 1876, which also lines up with the 200 EMA. I'm on the 15-minute time frame for Ethereum. Ethereum's in a little bit of a different situation because if we zoom out to the 1 hour time frame, Ethereum's high was actually created last Monday and we've headed down ever since, whereas Bitcoin last Monday, we have repeated that level once. So this here was a multi-session 3 hits to the high of the week before we rejected and headed down. This is the retest down, and now we're kind of in a little bit of a bear flag formation. But if we mark that out, you could say that we have broken that and that we're currently retesting it right now. So this is the breakdown, this is the retest. They took that liquidation level, maybe that's all they want, and we'll reject from there. We have to wait and see. But for me, the key with Ethereum is if we're going to have upside from here on this, then we need to break the 200 EMA and the initial high of the day, which is basically the same price right now at around 1876. We have to hold above that, and if that can happen, we'd expect that they're going to go for these higher liquidation levels next. However, on the other hand, as long as we're under it, we should remain bearish. They've just taken out this liquidation level, so we need to see if now they start to move away. That will give us the hint that that's all they wanted to the upside, and now they're coming for these lower ones. So we've got one level at 1860, and then I do like these levels down here. They are, they would need to be a big move, but they're there and they're significant. So 1830 and 1820. The reason that I like them is because they're either side of the low of the week from last week. So that's what I'm looking at. Again, if it does get too close to the news event and it hasn't played out, then it's a no trade. It's a wait and see what happens, especially like an hour or so before the news event. You can get a lot of false moves. The news is coming out around the end of UK. So you just have to be cautious when news comes out at the end of UK, because it means you're going to have the initial reaction and then you're going to have the US react when the US market opens. When you have a news event that happens around the end of UK, wait for usually around the first hour of US to be over, and then it's safer to take trades. If you want to be an aggressive degen, you would trade the open of US and go for your life. It's not for me to say whether you should or you shouldn't. Now, finally, I want to have a look at Dixie, because Dixie last night hit a very key level, and I want to see what has happened since it has broken it. So I was looking at this 100.48 level, which we can see here. We held it a number of times and we have now broken down. The thing with the Dixie is when we look at the vector candles on the daily time frame for it, we're in one now that has not yet been recovered. But if we break below that, it's really quite a way away until we have another one. The next one is down here, which is at 93.9 to 94.9. So that's a little scary, but yeah, it looks like we're making our way through this one right here. Everything else is looking fairly good. If we have a look at the S&P is heading into a vector candle right now, this one right here. So there may be a rejection there. This is on the daily time frame. There may be a rejection somewhere in there. Hello.
Hi, good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Sorry guys, the delivery man called and now I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, this is a daily vector. We're making our way in there at any point underneath the middle to the top. That's where we're looking for rejections on that. And on NASDAQ, on the daily time frame, we haven't entered it yet, but these are two vectors that are unrecovered so far, and price is still making its way up to there. Guys, can I just tell you, everything works out for me in Dubai, like literally everything. I have a meeting today and I have this dress that's being delivered, and I really wanted it to come before my meeting so I could wear it. And and that was it, arriving 4 hours before my meeting. So I'm going to Dubai. I love being here. But anyway, back to the charts, because you don't care about my dress. I know that. The moral of the story is Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're not really correlated with the Dixie right now. So they're kind of just coiling up. They're not really even following like S&P and NASDAQ. It's kind of just doing its own thing. So it's good to have a look at those things every now and then just to see what is going on in general. But, you know, they're kind of just doing their own things. So yeah, those are my thoughts. As we move closer into this pointy end of this retail triangle, it is going to get harder and harder to trade. You will be better off waiting until something becomes clearer on a smaller time frame. But for me, I personally am hoping that we continue down into these buy orders, and I really do hope that we hold, because you know we have a trade that we call a Linda in TTC. By the way, guys, if you are wanting to learn this method in full, consider joining us. The link is in the description of this video, where you can come and learn this method in full and join the community. But we have a trade set up we call a Linda, and it's basically when you get a really good smaller time frame trade that has, you know, a small stop loss, a big risk to reward, and that turns into intermediate and then a macro trend, and so you end up just holding on to it and it becomes a massive trade, like a 30-to-1 trade, 20-to-1 trade, something like that. That's what we're in right now. So we're not closing that long. Well, I'm not closing that long in the Discord just yet. But if this triangle can't break out to the upside, or if we break below this 29.8 kind of region, if we break below, actually probably more like the low of the week here, if we break below this level here, which is at 29,700, that's probably where I'll take my profits on my Linda. In between the Linda though, in all of these, I'm longing and shorting all the way. So, you know, there will be a little bit of profit given back if I only take profit at the low of the week. However, I've made it all up in day trading this consolidation range. So that's complicated. It's the kind of stuff I don't really go into detail on YouTube because it's a longer conversation. But if you're wanting to learn how to do things like that, where you can manage multiple trades on different time frames all at the same time in a stress-free manner, then come join us. Come learn our trading method and be part of the community where we're all doing this together. Be sure to also smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn that bell notification to all so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Have an amazing day.